Okay, let's unpack this. Last time, we left you with a pretty big question.
It was a huge one.
Right, one of the most, I think, destabilizing, but also profoundly liberating questions we can ask, which was, if you couldn't truly prove what reality is, if the world was as fluid as, say, a simulation or just this massive ongoing dream, how would you choose to live anyway?
We really just dipped our toes into the philosophical side of it.
We did, and the feedback confirms that this is a conversation people seem to be desperate to have.
Yeah, people feel it. They feel that modern life already has that glitchy, surreal quality.
Totally. Like the rules of physics and society are just, I don't know, shifting under our feet.
But the question that always comes up is, what do you do with that? How do you use that knowledge?
Exactly. We're done with the theory. Today, we're moving straight into practice with an even weirder, but I think more practical follow-up question.
Okay, let's hear it.
What if your waking life really is as fluid and dreamlike as it feels sometimes? What then? How do you move beyond just analyzing it and actually step into agency?
And this is the essential shift. It really is. We stop spinning our wheels asking, is it real or not?
Right.
And we pivot completely to asking, how do I gain maximum agency and creative freedom within this experience? Because if the world really is responsive like that, then your consciousness is your core resource.
I find that framing so empowering. I really do. Think about the psychological contrast we set up.
The nightmare versus the lucid dream.
Yes. In a terrifying nightmare, a totally non-lucid state, your primary instinct is just raw, pure reaction. You run, you hide, you're consumed by fear.
You're operating from what you could call pure victim energy. You're a puppet in the script.
But the moment you achieve lucidity in that same dream, the second you realize, wait a minute, this is my consciousness generating this.
Everything changes.
Everything. You stop running, you realize you have the power to stop and choose, you turn around and you face the monster.
Or you just decide to fly away. Or you change the whole landscape with a single thought.
That choice is the entire mission of this deep dive. We want to put this core question to you, the listener.
Yeah.
In your waking life, in those persistent conflicts, the deep anxiety spirals about your career, the struggle with some difficult, repetitive habit, which version are you living?
Are you perpetually running away on autopilot? Or are you turning around and actively engaging with the tools of lucidity?
Because that modern trend of talking about life as, glitchy, surreal, a fever dream.
Which is everywhere now. It's a meme.
It's more than just a meme. Experienced dream masters understand that feeling of discontinuity, that weirdness, is often the universe or the simulated environment itself, flashing a huge sign.
A sign that says, hey, the rules are much bendier than you currently believe.
Our mission today is to firmly establish that practices like lucid dreaming and disciplined spiritual growth, these are not just hobbies. They're not niche interests.
No, not if you take this frame seriously.
If life is a convincing dreamlike experience, then these become essential practices for navigating a reality that just refuses to stay fixed.
And the ultimate goal here is practical agency. It's personal mastery and profound empowerment. It is miles away from nihilism or just escapism.
So to guide this shift, we need to anchor ourselves in a few key concepts that are really crucial to this way of seeing things.
Right, the new operating system.
First, lucidity itself, which is just focused awareness. Then perspective, which is your vantage point.
Then there's vibration or emotional tone, which acts like your signal.
The idea of a shared dream, which is so important for ethics. And finally, the absolute necessity of just staying awake, of sustained awareness.
Okay, so let's dive into that core tension, because I think this is where people get stuck. It's what keeps them in that non-lucid state.
The paradox.
The paradox, that reality is somehow, simultaneously, utterly convincing, and yet profoundly fluid and dreamlike.
And we have to acknowledge how powerfully convincing the mind can be. I mean, when we talk about night dreams, they are 100% immersive.
Totally. You are rarely questioning the physics of suddenly flying over your hometown.
Or how you instantly teleported to some impossible location.
Or why the conversation you're having with a relative who passed away feels so palpably real.
It feels factual, completely and utterly factual, right up until the moment your consciousness shifts and you open your eyes.
And that's precisely the problem with waking life.
It feels equally powerfully convincing. The pressure of your chair right now, the weight of your body, the urgency of your to-do list.
It all screams fact. It screams fixed reality.
But we are seeing more and more evidence that this supposedly fixed reality is incredibly fluid.
Oh, for sure. Just think about the dizzying speed of change. I mean, the ability to generate hyper-realistic deepfakes out of thin air.
Or news cycles that completely rewrite accepted historical narratives overnight.
And even personal plot twists. That synchronous meeting, the shocking diagnosis, the unexpected breakthrough that just defy simple linear logic.
It's a reality that is constantly showing us how fluid it is.
So the big question isn't philosophical, it's practical. It's if both the sleeping state and the waking state can feel this intensely, absolutely real.
How do you know which to trust? And maybe more importantly, why does that choice matter for how you choose to live your next 5 minutes?
It matters entirely because of the huge gulf between lucidity and just being on autopilot.
Explain that.
Well, non-lucid living is all about reaction. In a dream, you're a puppet. You're just responding to the script. In waking life, non-lucid living is running old pre-written trauma scripts.
Or just reacting to social media triggers.
Exactly. Or letting yourself be driven entirely by an algorithmically designed reality tunnel that just confirms your biases and feeds your anxiety.
The moment of lucidity, then, is the power to just pause.
Yes.
It's that tiny, precious gap between the stimulus and that knee-jerk response where you remember you have agency.
In the dream, you stop running from the fear and you ask, wait, what is this monster trying to teach me?
And in waking life, you stop doom scrolling, you stop reacting in the conflict, and you ask.
Wait, what pattern am I being invited to break right now? What is the code I keep running over and over again?
This immediately brings up the tension that derails most people.
The nihilism trap.
The nihilism trap. The idea that if it's all fluid, if it's all a dream, then nothing matters.
That is the ultimate passive slide right back into unconsciousness. This is the easy way out.
The countermove we're proposing is the exact opposite.
Right. If this is a dreamlike simulation, then how you interpret and respond to it, that becomes your most profound creative act.
It doesn't mean nothing matters.
No, it means that your conscious choice matters more than anything else you possess.
We use the analogy all the time. You can't always control the wind, but you can always adjust your sails.
And in this context, adjusting your sails means adjusting your focus, your internal narrative, and what many people call your vibration, your emotional set point.
Okay, let's go deep on the V word for a second.
Let's do it.
Because for a lot of people, especially pragmatic learners, law of attraction or vibration still sounds like, well, like fluffy, magical thinking. We need to ground this.
Absolutely. If we take the dream or simulation frame seriously, we have to ask, is it magical thinking? Or is it simply how a participatory, meaning-responsive reality behaves?
I mean, on a fundamental level, everything operates as energy and frequency.
So translating that to practical psychology, your emotional tone, your deeply held beliefs about your own worthiness, and your moment-to-moment expectations, that's your primary signal. That's what you're broadcasting.
You can even think about it less as some cosmic law and more as a highly functional psychological feedback loop. Neuroscientists talk about the reticular activating system, the RAS. That's a part of your brain that filters reality to show you what you've decided is important.
So if you set your expectation and your belief structure to the world is hostile and scarcity reigns,
your brain literally filters for evidence of that. And the world, this responsive dream engine, is extremely good at providing supporting data for your chosen frequency.
And conversely, if you operate from a place of curiosity, confidence, and a genuine expectation of synchronicity and possibility,
the environment starts delivering those patterns.
It's not about forcing things to happen. It's about recognizing that your inner state is acting like a magnetic core, tuning your reality channel to a certain frequency of possibility.
And here's the final trap we have to talk about before we get into the examples.
The slide back to sleep.
Yes. It is so easy to have a massive aha moment, a glimpse of how fluid reality is, and then just quickly revert to passive unconscious hopping.
You slide right back into non-lucidity. You let the old narratives, the trauma loops, or the outside algorithms and media you consume run your day.
True lucidity requires sustained, focused effort.
Which is precisely why Dreamwork becomes so essential. It is quite literally debug mode for the soul's operating system.
Okay, so to make this transition from theory to actionable practice, we need some concrete examples.
For sure.
Let's turn our attention to the specific experiences of Phillip Aisling. We're using his journey as a lens, really treating his experiences as a real-world training manual for how lucidity and spiritual hygiene work in practice.
Phillip's journey is perfect for this because it provides tangible, felt evidence for these pretty abstract ideas. Let's start with just the profound, convincing power of the dream state itself.
The story really kicks off with his first pivotal experience, what he calls the mansion dream.
Right.
And Philip describes this dream not just as real, but as having a quality of light, of texture, and an emotional intensity that was more vivid than his ordinary waking life. It felt hyper-real.
And that, right there, that is the crucial insight for you, the listener. If your own mind, your own consciousness, can render an environment that feels qualitatively richer and more real than the room you're sitting in right now,
then you have to fundamentally question that hard line between inner and outer worlds.
Philip's reaction was never, oh, that was just nonsense. It was always,
Yeah.
What was that? What is the source of that profound experience?
And that inquiry, that's the seed of lucidity.
Exactly.
And the boundaries didn't just blur in terms of quality, they blurred in their effect. We see this with the really startling example of the Mexican carnival sunburn.
Oh, this story is amazing. It so profoundly illustrates the porous boundary between inner experience and external reality.
So he dreams he's at this loud, vibrant carnival, and he can feel the intense sun on his skin.
And he wakes up, and he is genuinely 100% convinced he has a severe, stinging sunburn that originated entirely within the dream environment.
So the inner state literally manifests a physical, painful trace in the external consensus world.
Yeah.
What this tells us is that when we call life dreamlike, we are absolutely not suggesting that it doesn't matter or that suffering is just in your head.
No, not at all. The sunburn proves that the inner state, your focused attention, your emotional intensity, your belief, it talks directly to and influences the external structure of reality.
So dreamwork, then, is not about escaping the external world.
It's about mastering the internal signal that is constantly shaping the external one.
Now, we have to address the hard stuff.
Nightmares.
Nightmares. Spiritual progress is often assumed to be all about blissful peace, but so often the greatest catalyst for a breakthrough is just sheer paralyzing terror.
The nightmare is often the subconscious yelling at you because you've been ignoring the quiet whispers of your intuition.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And Philip's experience in the coral reef sequence demonstrates this perfectly. He's enjoying this peaceful, beautiful coral reef scene. I mean, the very definition of a nice level in a game.
And then, without any warning, the entire scene just instantly flips into an ultra-real, terrifying nightmare that jolts him awake in a cold sweat.
It's the perfect analogy for waking life. How quickly can a period of ease, a smooth relationship, a good phase in your career, turn into a crisis, into a nightmare scene?
And when that flip happened, how did your awareness shift?
Right. Did you immediately collapse into reaction, or did you hold on to that little bit of lucidity that says, okay, crisis is just a story that needs rewriting?
For Philip, the nightmares got so frequent and intense. I mean, like, the terrifying dream where his school bus driver, Mrs. Peasley, becomes totally maniacal. They forced him to change his entire approach. He was pushed to seek out external tools and mentors, like the Oracle and this mysterious dreamer's dictionary.
And this is a critical takeaway for you listening. Recurring nightmares, whether they're in your sleep or in your waking life,
like that recurring fight with your partner or the persistent financial struggle.
those are spiritual catalysts. They are fear that's loud enough to force you to change levels and seek a new framework, a new way of understanding the rules of the game.
And that seeking often leads to a radical shift in perspective.
Which brings us to the metaphysician and the grand, mind-bending idea of the multiverse dream.
Right. So, exhausted by the fear, Philip nods off during a history exam and meets this figure, the metaphysician, in the dream state.
And this figure provides the foundational framework for Philip's reality. It moves him beyond just random dreams into intentional navigation.
So the metaphysician doesn't just talk about dreams in the way we normally do.
No, he explains that Philip is a capital D dreamer, and that his dreams are active, intentional glimpses into alternate instances of reality. A multiverse that's accessed directly through the dream state.
So every time he dreams, he's not just rehearsing memories or processing the day.
He is actively navigating parallel tracks of existence. The implication is, well, it's staggering. Dreamwork becomes literally learning to choose your reality tunnel, learning to move between different potential timelines and emotional states with more and more intention.
Which means we stop being stuck in just one predetermined outcome. If reality is a fluid multiverse, your practice becomes the act of intentionally tuning yourself to a higher frequency or a more desirable parallel path.
So how do you start controlling which channel you tune into?
Yeah.
Philip learns about this through the idea of spiritual hygiene and protection from the Oracle. This is where the concept of setting intention and using protection becomes vividly operational.
The Oracle explains that Philip's nightmares are being caused by what she calls wraiths.
Bad spirits.
Right, bad spirits that are slipping into his dreams and hijacking the narrative, just feeding the fear and chaos.
And the solution is highly intentional. She gives him this numinous object, a nagwagan, which is described as a powerful charm.
And she explains that this specific ward will keep out the wraiths, but only if he uses it properly and sets his intention clearly.
Now, I have to pause here because this brings up a core question about the dreamlike nature of reality.
Okay.
If reality is mental and responsive, why would you need a physical charm? A tangible object like the nagwagan, isn't the intention alone sufficient?
That's a great question, a great challenge. And I think it shows the sophistication of the spiritual practice here. While the intention, the internal frequency, is primary, we know from experienced dream masters that physical anchors matter deeply because we live in this embodied, sensory, responsive reality.
So the charm, the nagwagan, acts as a concrete sensory reminder. It's a physical focus point for Philip's belief.
So it's not passive magic. It's not a superstitious object.
Not at all. It's an active spiritual ward. It's a technology designed to anchor a powerful internal shift in his vibration.
It provides the necessary physical anchor in this dense reality to keep the intention steady.
And the result is immediate, and it's striking. After setting this ward, Philip dreams of the magical land of Arborea, filled with tree sprites. He completely avoids a nightmare state.
He literally shifts his conditions. He moves from fear-based reaction to intentional protection.
And the entire dream channel he tunes into changes.
And this translates perfectly to waking life. What are the wraiths in your day?
They aren't just bad thoughts.
No. They're the external inputs, the social media algorithms, the consistently negative friendships, the old trauma scripts you let replay in your head.
So what active spiritual ward, what conscious boundary, what intentional practice do you need to install in your waking life?
Philip shows us that clarity of intention completely changes the terms of engagement with the dream.
And once that channel is clearer, Philip starts demonstrating active lucidity, not just realizing he's dreaming,
but actively changing the script in real time.
The story of the snow fort is such a great illustration of this practical agency. Philip dreams of this enormous, complex snow fort. It starts playfully.
But it quickly devolves into a desperate, terrifying nightmare conflict.
And instead of suffering through the terror, instead of running, Philip actively wills himself to fly high above the fort.
He doesn't spend energy fighting the fort on the ground level.
He realizes he can ride on his entire vantage point.
This is the highest expression of lucidity. The fort of your waking life. Maybe it's an overwhelming family situation, chronic stress at work, or the inescapable global news.
It might not disappear.
It might not, but you realize you can instantly change your altitude, change your perspective, and your power shifts dramatically.
You realize, I have control over my vantage point even if I don't control the weather.
And he carries this lucidity directly into his waking life, often precognitively. This is the ultimate merger of the dream and reality.
The definitive example has to be the exam déjà vu.
Oh, yeah.
Philip first has this profoundly real false awakening where he takes a makeup exam from Mrs. Bishop. And he endures this brutal punch in the stomach, which is a clear trauma loop for him.
But then, in actual waking life, he experiences this intense, undeniable déjà vu.
His mother makes the exact same banana pancakes he saw in the dream.
And crucially, the makeup exam questions are identical to the ones he saw in the dream world.
This is practical dream work in action.
Mm-hmm.
Philip uses the dream data, this moment of precognition, to pass the test. But the crucial distinction here is that he doesn't just blindly follow the script.
Right. He realizes he needs to pretend to struggle a bit so his perfect score doesn't look suspicious.
He's not mindlessly replaying the simulation. He is using the data provided by the fluid dream state to actively update the script with wisdom and with strategy.
He's navigating waking reality as a conscious participant, not as a pawn.
And to formalize all this, his mentor Gaius later teaches him about the actual levels of lucid dreaming. He even gives him a numinous coin to take back, symbolizing agency and blurring the lines between the worlds.
And the insight is that spiritual growth is the movement through these levels of lucidity.
It's not just a momentary flash of, oh, I know I'm dreaming.
No, it's how awake and how free are you within that dream? Are you noticing the patterns? Are you questioning the scripts? Are you choosing new and better responses?
And eventually, are you helping others find their own lucidity?
Philip's entire narrative arc really just confirms that Dreamwork is the critical training ground for developing the awareness and the courage needed to navigate a rapidly shifting, multi-leveled reality.
That is a substantial amount of information to take in.
It is. We're weaving together philosophy, psychology, and these really compelling narrative examples. So if you've stayed with us through this exploration of how Phillip Aisling learned to become lucid, thank you.
We're truly grateful that you're willing to turn this philosophical framework into consistent, actionable practice.
We really encourage you to reflect on what we've discussed, specifically those moments of profound recognition, when you realize the lines between the sleeping world and the waking world are just incredibly thin.
This is all part of our ongoing series, Becoming Lucid, Navigating a Changing Reality.
And if you want to connect deeper with this material or find specific prompts for integrating these ideas into your daily routine, including, material related to Phillip Aisling's mentors and tools, you can visit phillipaisling.com for resources.
We truly see you as a community of fellow dreamers, of fellow learners, and we invite you to share your own experiences.
When have you experienced a glitch in the matrix or a dream that felt undeniably precognitive?
Because we are all learning how to become lucid together, and sharing these experiences helps solidify the reality of this fluid world.
Now, let's move into the climax of this deep dive. We've established the how, the techniques, and the examples. We need to tackle the why.
The deeper spiritual stakes of operating from this dreamlike frame.
And ensuring we use it to deepen our agency, not just promote detachment.
The core idea here is using this dreamlike frame not to dismiss the world, but to actually deepen our spiritual life and increase our everyday responsibility.
To do that, we have to tackle the ultimate ethical question.
Whose dream is it?
Right. If we accept the possibility of life as this fluid dream or a simulation, there are 3 primary models that practitioners use to govern their behavior.
And we offer these as thought experiments for living, not as dogma.
Okay, so model 1, it's your personal dream, and everything and everyone else is just a projection.
This gives you maximum creative agency, but like we discussed, it runs the extreme risk of solipsism, that self-centered belief that only you are truly real.
And that leads very quickly to treating other people as mere objects, as props.
Mm-hmm.
Model 2, which is consistently found to be the most helpful for spiritual growth. It's a shared dream we are all co-creating.
So everyone around you, your difficult boss, your partner, the stranger in traffic, is an equally real, equally powerful participant in this co-creation.
And this stance is absolutely crucial because it preserves ethics. It demands shared responsibility, and it encourages profound compassion.
You cannot just casually dismiss someone's pain if you view them as a co-dreamer whose consciousness is just as potent and real as your own.
And finally, model 3, it's the dream of a larger unitary consciousness.
We're not separate from the dream or the dreamer. We are simply waves, individualized aspects of a much bigger ocean.
And many mystical paths center on the practice of remembering that you are both the dreamer and the dream itself.
The insight from advanced practitioners is that regardless of which philosophical model is technically correct,
the most helpful, most spiritually advancing stance is model 2.
yes, treating others as equally real participants in the dream. You have to rigorously avoid falling into what people call NPC energy, where you reduce others to just props in your personal storyline.
When you start producing others, the quality of the shared dream fundamentally improves for everyone.
And this is why we frame lucidity as an active spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is simply the continual, focused effort to increase your level of awareness and intentional agency inside the dream or the simulation.
Practically speaking, this means recognizing those old scripts, the repetitive, painful patterns, as pre-written code.
So when you find yourself in the same argument with your spouse for the 10th time, or in the same cycle of anxiety about money,
that is your recurring waking life nightmare.
And lucidity means recognizing the code, pausing, and choosing a response that is radically new and unwritten.
And dreams in this context are a training ground.
A safe space.
A relatively safe space, even the terrifying ones, for developing courage, compassion, and creativity.
If you can stop, breathe, and face the monster in the dream, you are training your nervous system to face the metaphorical monster in your waking life.
That difficult email, that necessary conversation, that limiting belief about yourself.
You bring that inner power directly back with you into the waking world.
And central to this whole spiritual frame is the idea that your attention and your inner state, they're the closest things you have to admin access in this responsive dream or simulation.
We really have to reinforce this concept and ground it in psychology. Your inner state, your dominant emotion, your most deeply held belief, your expectation, that is your primary signal.
Think of it like the master setting on an equalizer.
Yeah, that's a great metaphor. And the dream or the simulation responds to this signal like a highly sensitive, meaning-making game engine,
It responds with synchronicities, with opportunities, or with repeated lessons.
all designed to reflect back and reinforce the dominant frequency you're vibrating at.
We see this so clearly with Philip. When he operates from pure, unchecked fear, the wraiths and nightmares manifest. That's the hostile frequency.
But when he shifts to intention and focused curiosity, using the Nagwagan as his anchor,
The entire dreamscape changes. It tunes into Arborea.
the dream isn't forcing him to be happy, but it is responding with incredible fidelity to the clarity of his internal signal.
No, we have to address the most profound ethical challenge in this entire framework.
The paradox of real suffering.
We're talking about a dreamlike reality, but we cannot ignore that suffering, heartbreak, and love are profoundly experientially real.
This clarification is absolutely vital. The goal of lucidity is not to achieve detachment or to escape pain.
It's the opposite.
It is the opposite.
Daffy.
The goal is to deepen your presence and increase your compassion within the experience of pain.
When you realize the dream is responsive and shared, you realize your most important act is to witness and respond ethically to the suffering around you.
This is why advanced dream masters enforce such a strong ethical framework. They observe that when they treat dream characters, even the most monstrous, aggressive, or frustrating ones, with respect and genuine compassion,
The entire dream environment stabilizes, the characters often transform, or the nightmare dissolves.
and this absolutely mirrors waking life. Treating others as fully real co-dreamers, even when they seem to be generating a collective nightmare, is the only way to truly stabilize your personal and your collective reality.
You can't just think your way out of the suffering.
No. The shift to lucidity is cultivated through embodied practice, breath work, meditation, and centrally, dream work. These are the tools that train your awareness to remain present and intentional when the dreamscape gets overwhelming or convincing or just plain scary.
So let's bring this all home. What does this deep dive mean for you today? We have 3 crisp, actionable applications, the so what of all this, that you can integrate immediately.
Okay, application 1. Treat glitches, synchronicities, or any surreal moments as active lucidity cues.
When waking life feels genuinely surreal or unfair or strangely synchronistic or just repetitive, when you get that glitch in the matrix feeling, don't just shrug it off.
Pause. And treat it exactly as Philip treated his precognitive exam dream, as a dream sign that's demanding your attention.
The crucial question to ask yourself is this. If this situation were a dream, what hidden pattern is it reflecting back to me?
What pre-written code or belief am I being invited to see, to question, or to change about my inner state?
This immediately shifts your energy. You move from that passive victim mode of, why is this happening to me?
To the role of a highly empowered dream detective asking, what is this teaching me about my own consciousness and my preferred reality channel?
Okay, application 2. Implement a specific nightly lucidity practice. Something derived from the source material. You don't need complicated gear, but you do need structure.
Before you go to sleep tonight, set a gentle, focused intention. Don't just wish for a good dream. Be specific.
Ask the responsive dream engine a question like, show me one recurring pattern or assumption I'm running in my waking life that I need to change.
Or help me see where I'm giving away my power.
And upon waking, write down even the smallest fragments of your dream immediately. Then, ask the translational question, using Philip's examples as a guide. Where is this symbol, this emotion, or this character alive and present in my day?
For instance, if you dreamed of being frantically late for a bus, like the Mrs. Peasley nightmare,
Ask, where in my day do I feel frantically late? And where am I letting chaos drive the schedule instead of my own intention? It's about seeing your own operating system more clearly.
And application 3, reorient your perspective through intentional language. This is your reframing superpower.
You cannot always control the code or the overarching storyline that the simulation throws at you.
But you can always instantly reorient your vantage point.
We encourage you to try this shift today in a concrete situation, a moment of unexpected conflict, a spike of anxiety, or a major disappointment.
Move from, why is this happening to
Yes.
me, which is passive and disempowering, to the language of agency. What pattern am I participating in that created this reaction?
Move from that feeling of, I'm trapped and this is fixed, to the understanding I'm learning how to navigate this particular level of the dream, and I have the power to change my altitude, just like Phillip over the snow fort.
It changes everything about the energy and therefore the signal you bring to the experience.
As we start to wind down, it's just vital to normalize this feeling of destabilization. These ideas are massive, and it is perfectly okay if they feel overwhelming. You do not have to decide tonight if reality is a dream or a simulation.
Just focus on the small steps of becoming present. One moment of lucidity in your day, a single pause, a single reframe of a persistent pattern that is already the most significant part of the process of waking up.
And always remember the foundational ethic. You are allowed to treat life as fluid and dreamlike and still care deeply about the people in the world around you.
The person suffering in front of you is still suffering, dream or not. Lucidity is not an escape route. It is a pathway to more presence and profound compassion.
We want to leave you with 2 final memorable lines to carry into your week. Lines that I think really encapsulate the insight of this deep dive.
Okay. The first is, lucidity doesn't mean leaving the dream. It means showing up differently inside it.
And the second, if life is dreamlike, your attention and your attitude are the closest things you have to admin access.
Think about that. We want to prompt some active reflection from you right now. Have you ever had a dream that forced you to adjust your waking life script, like Philip's exam precognition?
What specific pattern did it reveal to you?
We invite you to journal or maybe even comment with one recurring dream sign. A person, a building, a repetitive emotion that you've noticed. What you think it might be reflecting about the code that's running in your current waking reality.
And share this deep dive with anyone who loves those conversations about the glitch in the matrix, about simulations, and the nature of reality.
But who is ready to move past the theory and into a deeper, more actionable level of insight and conversation?
You can find us at phillipaisling.com for more resources, book updates, and notes from this entire series.
Next time on the deep dive, we'll continue the Becoming Lucid arc. We're going to focus even more intensely on specific, structured lucid techniques you can use tonight and how to actively start navigating synchronicity in waking life-making debug mode, your default setting.
Until then, remember, the choice is always yours.
We're all learning how to wake up inside this together.